welcome back to my channel, and this is my review of Love After Lockup, Season 5, Episode 40, Exes and Oh No's. And also, this is the season finale. So let's get started. So the first couple that we see is Bianca and Daniel. They are waiting outside the prison for Daniel to be released, and shortly into their episode, Daniel comes out. He hugs Bianca. He gives her a kiss, and it was a pretty extra long kiss at that. But nonetheless, she's happy because she always said she wanted to be the first one. The parents get a chance to hug him as well, and they decide to go and meet up at a restaurant. So they ride in separate cars. On their way over there. And so during the car ride with Daniel and Bianca, Daniel says to the producers that 24 days into corresponding with Bianca, he was sent to the hole. And after that, he was at his breaking point. And so he asked her to marry him. And because he said he was afraid to lose her. So Daniel also says that looking back at it, it was very foolish of him to do that because now she is expecting him to fulfill that promise and that, he's just not ready to get married right now, which is so understandable. I don't know why all of these partners of these ex-inmates want to get married so fast. Because as soon as, they get in the car, Bianca does ask him how he feels about getting married. And, he's just not ready right now. So we'll see how that goes. But later they pull up to the restaurant. Bianca is telling him to reach out to his PO officer because she wants to know if he's going to be able to stay the night at her place. So he does. He reaches out, and it seems like his PO officer approved of him staying at her house for just the first night. So after that, they're going to have to work something out, and the PO officer is probably going to let him know an update. So she's happy. He's happy. They go ahead and go into the restaurant where the parents and family members are. And when they get to the table, his mom is getting pretty worried about Daniel simply because, she had a previous son that is now unalived. And she keeps throwing different scenarios to Bianca to see if she will, not drink, but nothing seems to be working. Bianca has no plans of stopping drinking whenever she feels like it. And so I don't think she's going to get very far. To be honest, I don't know if they'll last very long, especially with his sobriety on the line. So we'll see. WeTV gives an update and says that their story will continue in the next season of Life After Lockup. So it looks like we're not done seeing this couple. So next up we have Zaria and Troy. So Zaria, last week, if we remember, there was a family get together in Karen's backyard, which is Troy's mom. They decide, actually they're just sitting back there talking. Zaria, she kind of looks a little upset. She kind of looks like she doesn't want to be there. That's what it is. She looks like she doesn't want to be there. So she's sitting there waiting for Yana to come and his daughter, because Yana is his daughter's mom and she is going to be bringing the little girl to see him because she hasn't seen him since he's been locked up. So he's pretty happy. But Zaria just seems to be just the Debbie Downer. So finally, we see his daughter who pulls up in the car with her mom, and Troy gets super emotional. He hugs her, he gives her a kiss, he picks her up, and he kind of just, holds her for a little bit. And then he walks over to Zaria and he introduces Zaria. And, I think her name is Troll, like Troll. So when I was looking at the screen, I could see Troo spelled out, but it sounds like everybody calls her Troy. So I'm a little confused. And then I'm also confused as to why she would name her the word troll, because it just seems like a word that, would get you really picked on at school. But nonetheless, I don't know what you heard. Let me know if you heard them call her Troy or if you heard them call her Troll. Um, so, anyways, like I said, he is introducing them to each other. And then he starts telling his daughter that, Zaria and her have the same last name. And, she should build her relationship with Zaria however she sees fit. And that, she also doesn't have to call Zaria mommy or mom or Mama Z or whatever. And Yana is not far. She's in the backyard as well. She's just a little bit further away from them, but can hear um she still can hear them. And so she's back there rolling her eyes, and I kind of felt like Troy telling the daughter that was a little bit unnecessary. I was like, what is he doing? That's unnecessary. She doesn't need to know all of that. So, anyways, Yana was in the background, as I said, and she's talking to Troy's mom, and Yana starts talking to the well, actually, she's telling the mom that she doesn't feel like Troy has to tell her about, or force her daughter to give Zaria a hug. And I totally agree. Totally agree. So Yana says she didn't say anything to Zaria because she says Zaria is nobody to her. And as a woman, she says that if you're coming into a situation with someone who has a child, you should want to communicate with the mother of that child. And if you want to be around her daughter. So it's just common sense, Yana says. So she says, Zaria, she starts throwing shade and she's like, Zaria is not cute. And she said that Zaria should be glad that Troy is with someone like her. And also, Yana says in the end, their relationship, she gives their relationship 60 days and says it won't last. So we will see. Later, Troy walks his daughter to the car and he gives his daughter a hug. And he does ask Yana if it would be okay for his daughter to come visit over to Zaria's house sometimes. And of course, Yana is like, absolutely not. And she didn't say that, but she did say no very quickly. So I agree. I mean, I think given what we've seen over this season of Zaria, like if she is doing half of what she's doing away from the kids and in front of Troy's mom, I'm not really sure if she will care about yelling at his daughter's dad while she's in the other room. So I agree. Yana wants to kind of monitor it a little bit and see what happens with the two of them before her daughter goes over to Zaria's house. So, and they don't live around the corner. So that's another thing to keep in mind. So looks like we do have an update from WeTV about what is happening with them. And it looks like Zaria and Troy are planning a wedding redo with the family and friends, and that their story is also going to continue in Love After Lockup the next season. So we're still going to see them as well. So we'll probably tune in next season. And next we have Kim and Joey. So Joey is waiting for his ex to arrive. Remember, he's at the park. He had told his ex he would meet her there. Joey is looking to get some answers on why she left him when he first went to prison, and when he and why she hurt him. Like, I feel like he's not over her. I feel like he does have an interest in wanting to see her as well, but I think she is in a different type of relationship, but she's probably not very faithful to it because she was the one that first reached out to him from what we saw during the show. So after no response from the ex, because Joy did reach out to her, she didn't respond to him in a text at all. So he decides to leave and go on back to Kim's house, and he just tells Kim that, hey, let's just go to the party since everybody is waiting for us, and let's just go back to our lives. And I'm thinking, okay, now that your ex has ignored you, now you want to go back to Kim and kind of make things right with her. So Joy, I mean, honestly, I blame a lot of this on Kim. I think she makes it too easy for him. And like she ignores all the red flags. And the next thing this idiot does is says that when they get ready to go out to the car, he wants to drive separately. Like, what is wrong with him? I would just like nothing about that sat right with me. I guess it sat right with Kim because she mentioned it, but she still went in her own vehicle. So next they arrive at the party, and everybody is showing up. And a little bit later, Kim's cousin arrives, and you got to understand that Kim's cousin dated him 20 years ago. So she comes in. So when the cousin comes in, Joey comes flying in there to stand next to Kim because he knows what he just did. So the cousin runs over there, and when she gets to Kim, Joy is standing next to her. So she says that she doesn't like them being together, and she says that she needs to talk to her. So she pulls Kim to the side, and she starts crying, and she's like, or she just gets emotional, and she's like, hey, I really just need to talk to you or tell you something that Joey did. And she says on her way coming into the party, Joey was outside and whistled to her outside while she walked in. Now, to me, that is a red flag, and I would have addressed that with him, but I guess Kim wanted to keep the peace, so she decided not to. Actually, she blew it off. She told everybody that she thinks that, Kim's cousin just wasn't over him. And Joy says the same thing. So I don't know what is wrong with Kim's thinking, because she clearly is not thinking, because Joy is a piece of crap and she should not marry him. So, anyways, I'm not going to feel sorry for Kim for whatever she ends up, dealing with in the next, as she moves forward with marrying him. But we do get a TV update through We TV, and they said that Joey is no longer in contact with his ex because Kim blocked her. I feel like you have like an extra kid in the house. Like, that's too much. And you need to require him to get a job. Like, at this point, he should have a job. And so they also tell us that they're still planning their wedding, and that their story also will continue in the next season of Love After Lockup. So the next couple that we have is Shantae and True. So we see Shantae and True. True is driving Shantae over to Peppa's house because remember, Peppa is the lady that he will be staying with while he's on house arrest. So they get out, they go into her home. She has like a house full of wood panels. And she shows her around. She introduces herself. Peppa seems to be like a normal person. Shantae asked about, if she's allowing people to come in and out of her house, like, in other words, a lot of women. And Peppa, puts her concerns to the side, and, she's like, she doesn't like to be around a lot of people. She definitely doesn't want a lot of people coming over. But I kind of doubt that. I think True picked that house because originally he was supposed to be paroling at his mother's house, and I'm quite sure his mother is not allowing him to have guests coming in and out of the house, whether it's male or female. So, he picked Peppa, and apparently, obviously the PO officer is okay with it. And he shows Shantae where his room is going to be. It looks like it's very close to the front door, which to me is easy access for women coming in or him leaving out. So, I really think that True does not have good intentions with Shantae, but she seems to be not seeing the red flags either, because I believe she just doesn't want to. So later we see Shantae getting in her car. Looks like she is packing up and going back home. But first, she calls her best friend on the phone. And, we're all not surprised that True has cheated on her. Like, that's messed up. Like, while she's in his town, at his request to come with him to his PO officer's meeting, she comes into town with him and he cheats on her. So whatever, I don't know why she even wants to give him the time of day. Babies or not, he can get blocked like everybody else can get blocked. And she can stop dealing with him like everybody else can stop dealing with whoever they don't want to deal with. So a lot of this is her own fault. I don't feel sorry for her. True is definitely playing her. Next, she does say that she has some belongings of True that she wants to give him. So we see her go one last time over to Peppa's house. She goes up to the door, knocks on it. True opens the door, but at first we only see his arm where he's reaching out to grab the bag that she's giving him. And then she turns around and goes back to her car so that she can sit in her car and talk to him from across the street. So True comes out, he's on his porch, they're talking from a really big distance. But, Shantae, I don't understand why she's still talking to him. Like, I would have gave him his stuff and I would have left. But True is telling the cameras that, he doesn't believe that Shantae would break up with him. True does eventually confess to the cameras or to the producers that he did in fact cheat. The producers wanted a little bit of details, and True said he's not giving any details, but he did confirm that he cheated, and he says that he doesn't believe that she's going to break up with him. So with that right there, I'm just like, he's going to keep doing whatever he wants to do because she kind of allows it. So she's going to get whatever, she has coming to her. So next, WeTV does give us an update on them as a couple, and it looks like True is no longer on house arrest. And Shantae says that they are no longer expecting, and that apparently the doctors were not able to find a heartbeat for both babies. So I hope that's not a lie. I hope that WeTV did not put them up to lying and saying that they have twins on the way. If they are lying, that's really bad. That's bad. But if she did truly lose a baby, I'm sure that hurts. And um, I hope she is okay. So next up, we have Hope and Arthur. So the last episode, again, Hope and Arthur were meeting up with her relatives. They were at a restaurant. And this episode opens with the siblings, the three girls, sisters, are at the bar. So they're not far from the table, but they are at the bar drinking. And the only people left at the table is Arthur and the grandfather. And so the grandfather decides that he has a question that he wants to ask Arthur. And, he decides that he wants to go like to another, like the corner of the room or the area that they're in, and ask him the question. But like I was just saying, there was no one at the table but the grandfather and Arthur. So I'm like, he could have asked that question, whatever he wanted to ask him right there at the table. And so they walk over to an area of the room, kind of like in the corner, and the grandfather kind of leans in rather close. And it was close enough to like kiss him on the neck. That's how close it was. And he asked him the question of, is he in a gang? And I thought, well, for one, I thought he was standing too close to him because remember, Arthur considers himself as still institutionalized. So I felt like, again, it was too close. And, I didn't want, that could have caused a bad reaction, or an unwanted action that, on the grandfather. But I'm glad it didn't. But I do think that, maybe he asked that because of Arthur and these ridiculous tattoos he has on his face. The one that's a triangle, I really think that he needs to take whatever monetary funds he got at the end of the show and get that lasered off or get something else, because it just looks absolutely ridiculous. And if he ever wanted a regular, professional job or whatever, it just doesn't look right. Whether you're in the workplace or at a family funeral, you don't want that on your forehead. Arthur did tell the grandfather that no, he was not in a gang. Later, Hope and Arthur are walking out, and Arthur lets her know that, he felt like he was getting grilled and she didn't step in at all to kind of help him out. And she said, well, she had gotten grilled too before he got there. And he said that they had questions for him. So it was his turn to answer his own questions. So, and I totally agree. Those questions were not that bad, and you knew what you signed up for when you got with Hope, and you knew that the family was coming, so you should have known that you were going to get a lot of questions. So, as we know, they went ahead and they left, and looks like WeTV is saying that Hope and Arthur have broken up after the filming ended. Shocker. I don't think any of us are really that shocked. And then what is a shock is that Arthur was arrested on May 24, 2024, and is awaiting trial. So there you have it. He probably is institutionalized because he's begged and cried and pleaded that he wasn't going back because of what he saw, somebody getting killed and in prison, and now he's back in there. So I assume he probably is institutionalized, like he said, and hopefully one day he'll be able to turn that around, because prison is just not the place that you want to continue to keep going. So next up, we have Christine and Julian. So in the previous episode, we saw Christine wanting to get into comedy. She's at the restaurant because they have comedy act night, and she's talking to some of her friends. And next thing you know, they call her up to the stage. And for some reason, when she starts her comedy act, it sounds like she's talking, just telling a story about how she went to prison and what she did that led her to prison. And I'm telling you that none of it was funny. It was honestly just a big fail. I'm not saying it's not something she can't do in the future, but she definitely needs some training or get a coach, like a comedy coach or something like that. But it just wasn't funny at all. It was awful. And frankly, I'm sick of hearing about the bank robbery. And she's kind of like telling us how to do a bank robbery. So I just thought it was ridiculous. She had a heckler in the audience, and he starts shouting out things and completely threw her off. Like, she was just absolutely thrown off. And then she starts to almost cry, And I'm like, oh no, this is getting bad. Like, just get off the stage. So next thing you know, we do see her running into the bathroom, a public bathroom where she sits on the toilet with her clothes on. I didn't like that at all. I was just thinking of all the nasty germs on that nasty toilet. Julian comes into the bathroom with her. She's trying to get all of her microphones off of her. She's ready to go. She doesn't want the cameraman talking to her, answering any questions. She's had it. She's ready to go. And she's done talking, she says. So later, we see her out, I believe, outside of the house, and she's just kind of relaxing, and it seems like they're getting along a little better. And so, we hope that she continues with her comedy after some training and maybe a coach. And so, WeTV gives us an update on that couple, and it looks like Julian is hoping to land a job soon, and Christine is going to give comedy stand up a second chance. And it looks like Julian has finally introduced her to someone in his family, and that would be his dad. Although she still hasn't met the his kids. But I can understand that the mother she's only been out 1 month at that point. So the mother is probably just wanting to make sure she kind of, you know, gets a feel of Christine and, if she's a good person or not, because right now she doesn't know him. The only person knows her is Julian. So I have no problem with her waiting to for her kids to meet him or meet her. So the only couple that we did not see was Letitia and Keith. And WeTV did give us an update on Letitia and Keith, and looks like Letitia and her girls are living in another rental in Davenport, Iowa. Her plans to relocate have been put on hold, and Letitia was recently arrested with a theft charge. Doesn't she have this $15,000 ring on her finger? Like, I would think she could just pawn that. I mean, come on. Like, and I thought she was an attorney. What are you out here stealing for? Like, none of this makes sense to me. But anyways, it looks like Keith's expected release date is September 24th, 2024. So at this point, he is probably out, and hopefully things are going well for the two of them. So this is the end of my review, and remember that was the finale. So that is it for this season. So thank you so much for joining me. I really do appreciate it. And on your way out, if you like any of this content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, life has no remote. Get up and change it yourself. And I'll definitely talk to you again. Bye.